Dwight Settle from SEAL1 next, but first...
Hey, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com.
Dwight,
Wow.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, welcome to the show, Dwight.
Yeah, welcome, Dwight. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being such a big supporter of Gun Owners Radio and San Diego County Gun Owners. Really appreciate it.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's, kind of close to our heart, about what we cover and, just anything firearm related. It's an important issue.
Well, and I tell people either your dime or your time, and you guys do both. You actually come and help us with the shooting socials and teach people how to shoot personally, and sponsors the show and Gun Prom and everything. You guys are absolutely wonderful. I'm really, really a big fan of SEAL1. I use it, and actually someone
tell him how you use it.
I'm going to tell you how.
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to hear this.
Oh, you're going to just...
Someone just asked me about this on I don't know where we were. Was it a shooting social? But one of the members came up and said, "Hey, do you really?" And he described how I use it. Here's how I use it. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. You tell me. I on my Glock, I take the paste and I take a brush and I scrub the heck out of it, inside and out. Take a lot of paste and just scrub, like every little nook and cranny. And now it's covered in paste. And then I take my Glock and I run it in the sink under the hottest water I can get, and it washes everything off perfectly. And then there's just, it's not like a film, but it's clean and it's kind of dry lubricated, and it's perfect. It works perfectly because all the hot water just kind of gets rid of the SEAL1 perfectly. Now, it might not talk to me. You got a smile on your face.
You haven't heard this one before, have you?
And then I just shake off the Glock, dry it off a little bit, and it's good to go.
Okay, I mean, I've heard of people putting it in ovens, taking heat guns, taking dryers. Now, I've taken a dryer to mine a hair dryer, but because it's the sigfish that I've got sitting in the aquarium of water when I'm at shows, so that's when I take the hair dryer to it. But really, like one of the things I say, it's wipe on, wipe off.
Have you heard anybody that puts it under hot water?
Yeah.
Muzzle loader.
There you go.
Folks have,
but
that's
it's like a Glock.
With muzzle loader black powder shooters.
Yeah.
They've taken their whole firearm into the showers with them to clean it and all. And
okay, I don't feel so bad.
See
now.
that? I'm just old school. That's all.
Yeah.
You need a muzzle loader.
I've been told I need a muzzle at times.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. But it's interesting how versatile your product is, because I'm sure you hear stories all the time on how people use it.
Yes.
Like they don't bother reading the instructions. They just come up with their own.
A lot of those, and so it's I've heard a lot of different things, and we've had a couple where people call in and say, it's not doing exactly what you said. And I was like, okay, well, tell me what you're doing. And then of course they come back and they say, well, I take my solvent, and I said, okay, right there, stop. You don't need to use any other product. And I think the hardest thing to get across to people is just you don't need anything else. It's truly, just different than a lot of products out there. And I like to, there's a lot of good products out there that work, but in the, I'll put SEAL1 CLP Plus up against any other product out there. And I have told people just, compare apple to apple, not an apple to an orange. You just do the whole thing. And in the 11 years we've been out doing this, I have not failed myself or a couple of our gun reps or other people I know where I have never been able to not remove more carbon from a firearm that's been clean with, you name it.
Anything else.
Right. And bring me a clean one, I punch the barrel with one of our pre-saturated patches, and I'm always getting carbon out.
That's actually that's always my test, and that was the same test I did on SEAL1. Is I clean it, and then I clean it again, and if more stuff comes off, I'm not happy. And SEAL1, more stuff didn't come off.
It was a one-shot deal.
It was a one-shot deal, which I was really, really happy. The other thing I like about the paste in particular, it's hard to get down into all those, levers and springs and whatever, in the trigger mechanism. And the paste really, really helps. You can really get that done.
You can. Well, and it's funny. I mean, you bring up the paste because a lot of people will look at it and go, okay, well, all right, look, it's a wax or it's, it's thick. How's it going to get down there? So with just touching it with your finger, it starts melting right away. Right. So, you just with putting it on with the nylon brush, that friction makes it melt. So it's, it takes, as I always tell everybody, it takes 3 cleanings. So it's a clean shoot process, like seasoning a cast iron skillet that will, once that's broken in, then it really, you don't need to do anything else. And you'll notice that your cleaning is just easier each time. And people come up and say, well, what if I'm at the range and my gun starts drying out and I've got to put some lube on it? And then you've only probably used it once maybe, and you haven't used it enough, because I've never had that issue happen. We had a guy who repped for POF, Patriot Ordnance Factory. He got a brand new rifle, took it, cleaned it 3 times while breaking it in and shooting, and then after he'd cleaned it 3 times, he went 2 years and 53,000 rounds without cleaning it again.
Jeez.
And the carbon was still wiping off. So
wow.
I've never heard of any other product doing that.
Because it definitely does. I don't want to say it leaves a film, because that makes.
But you can feel it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not greasy, and it's not oily.
You just feel something on there.
Yeah, it feels soft.
Yeah.
It feels nice and soft.
Yeah.
Aww.
So as I like to tell ladies when they're cleaning their firearm, that if they're using the paste, they're actually softening their hands while they do, not the dishes, but the firearm.
You're kind of like the Madge of the gun world.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. You soaked in it. Well, is that what it was, right?
Yeah.
You're
soaking in it.
Yeah.
Do you use it, Joe?
What, the
SEAL1?
stuff Madge used? No, I used a SEAL1 on my 1911. It seems to really like it. It seems to be happy there. But I want to start trying it out on the Glock, because something I ran into when I switched over to the red dot sight, I started getting little splashes of oil on the lens on the front of the red dot.
Yeah.
And, I try to, I don't use a lot of oil on the Glock. But I try to put a little bit where there's wear marks, and there's wear marks up near the top of the barrel, and where I have that cutout. And I'm thinking maybe if I switch over to the SEAL1 on the Glock, then I may not have that issue, because the other option is not to put oil there. But I may try that on the Glock and just to see how it goes.
I'll tell you, I don't know, Dwight, if you have experience with this, but I learned a long time ago. I was using like different solvents and lubricants, on the same gun. Like every time I cleaned it, I would use something different. It got all gummy. So when you do switch, I've found that when I do switch, I have to like really scrub the heck out of it and then like stick with that, like this is my new cleaner, so it doesn't get all gummy. But the first time I like really, 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 really scrub it with the new stuff. I don't know. Have you ever any experience with that?
Yes. And this is where,
because I had this goop like falling out of the innards of my Glock one. It was horrible. It was really embarrassing too.
Well, that's what I mean, like where I bring up again the 3 cleaning aspect, right? That it takes 3 cleanings, because what our product is doing, and no, it does not mix well with petroleum-based products, because it's a natural degreaser. So the product, I need a solvent. Well, this is a solvent, so it's a natural degreaser. So when you're putting it on there and you've only used it, say, 1 time, and if you clean your firearm and then you set it aside and you come back a month later, people say, oh, you ruined my gun because it's all goopy and
It's kind
sticky.
of goopy.
Well, it's our product doing its job. It's still pulling out, because once you put it on there one time, it's there, okay? Because it starts penetrating right away. And even though you've wiped it off, our product is still on there. So it's doing its job. It's penetrating into the pores of the metal, the plastic, composite, whatever the firearm is, and it is
Pulling the
pulling
stuff
out
out.
the old carbon, the old petroleum-based
So
product.
when Joe switches, what do you recommend? What does he do? What does he do to switch so that he doesn't get all gooped up like?
Well, how often will you shoot again? That's what I just tell people, that, look, if you clean it one time and you're going to just set it aside for a while, then expect to, next time you come back, it's going to be gummy and sticky, because it's actually pulling out the petroleum. It's not our product getting gummy and sticky. I still have some of the original product that was made, first one in 1990 when this product was first developed. And it's still sitting there. It's not gummy. It's not sticky.
Yeah, my Glocks get shot a couple of times a week. So
Okay.
pretty consistent.
Then you wouldn't notice a problem the next time.
I wouldn't see that.
No, you wouldn't, because you'd clean it, you'd shoot, then a couple of days later you're shooting. If you just clean it again, then you'll notice it's not. Now, one thing, once you've been using the product, what I have found is, if you're one of those people that typically don't like to clean, once
Yeah.
you've done it the 3 times, because an AR of mine I took, and I went 5,000 rounds between cleanings, and I couldn't go any longer because I didn't like it as dirty as it was, But a good friend of mine, he teaches in Colorado and deploys. Well, he did, and he cleans his Glock every 15,000 rounds, because he just says, I don't need to with your product. It's not gonna, not gonna jam on me.
So I need more incentive not to clean them. Great. There you go.
There you go. Boy, that's not going to take much, is it? Did you know you can use SEAL1 on the dash of your car?
No, really?
That's
I can clean my guns on the dash of the car?
No, you put that on your dash. I like that
It's
idea.
gonna be tough holding that in the sink, though. I would think.
Yeah. How do I get the car in the sink?
No. Only Michael puts it in the sink. Of course, we do have somebody that puts it in the crock pot, but we won't even go there. Hey, is getting your pilot's license on your bucket list? Well, make that dream come true at San Diego Flight Training International. We are so excited to welcome San Diego Flight Training International as a new sponsor. You can learn to fly, start the adventure of a lifetime. You can learn to fly in the heart of San Diego, right there at Montgomery Field. Getting started is easy as giving them a call at 858-569-1822. You can learn to fly with SGFTI. Call them today, 858-569-1822. And you can probably go on a flight with Mike, because he's going to do that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
You'd look good in an airplane.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I flew a Cessna 172 when I was a kid.
So did
in
I.
Florida.
And it could say San Diego County Gun Owners down the side.
I do or get the
The tail. The
tail
flaggy
from,
thingy in the back.
from
There you go.
like on the beach. Dwight, are you a pilot? Did you ever fly?
I've flown, but I'm not a pilot. I've never landed.
Never landed. You probably jumped out of a few aircraft, haven't you?
A couple of thousand.
Yeah,
Oh,
a couple thousand.
Yes.
So, what did you do in a previous life? Who was your previous
He
employer?
rode in a really bad airline. That's what he did.
No, there's no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. This is what I would tell all pilots. So I just practice.
Jumping out.
Yes. I in the Navy, I spent a couple of tours on the Navy parachute team.
Nice.
So I was,
What's the Navy parachuting out of?
you name it. I've jumped out of hot air
Thought
balloons.
you were in boats.
I was in submarines, so we didn't have to jump.
You didn't have to parachute out
That
of
was
the
a weird. It was a
submarine?
weird parachute out of a submarine.
No, that's down the torpedo tube, right?
No, actually, we had escape trunks. The problem is, whenever you're submerged, you're way too deep to use the escape trunk. They used to call them mom things or something. It was for Congress and mom. We have escape trunks. We can't really use them, but yeah, they're there.
Well, we used them. We used them in the in the teams as
Oh
a
yeah,
SEAL.
but we did that on purpose though. I mean,
Yes.
if we
Yeah.
we used to bring you in and drop you off and go kill something and come back, we'll pick you up.
Yes.
But
We'll pick you
with
up.
us, I mean, if we crashed on the bottom or something, assuming we didn't crush,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
you weren't
were
going.
probably too deep.
You weren't
to
coming
go
back
out.
out, right?
Yeah. What was the rescue?
Oh, the DSRVs.
DSRVs, yeah. Hopefully they could get
Yeah,
to.
they
if,
can come
if
down.
it's not,
That'll work.
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So how long were you in the Navy, Dwight?
20 years, 4 months, and 19 days.
Yeah, approximately.
3 hours, 13 minutes, and 9 seconds.
What took you into the Navy?
Getting away from home,
Oh, really? Where was home?
Houston.
Why'd you want to get away from Houston?
Because there's no water.
You look like a guy from Houston. I got to tell you, you look like a guy from Houston. You're like 7 feet tall and about 7 feet wide, and you look like a guy from Houston. That's a compliment, by the way.
No, it just made me. My sisters always said I had Fred Flintstone feet. So
Welcome to that club.
yeah.
So, why did you want to leave? Why did you want to get away from home? Houston it seems like a nice place to grow up.
It was just probably okay. My mom.
Okay, all right. Get away from mom. All right.
Yeah.
Why'd you pick the Navy?
Because I was gonna go to Texas A&M, but that was only 90 miles away, and I really felt like I needed to get a little further. So I joined the Navy to come in for 4 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I would imagine, because I did the same thing, but I joined the Army, because you're not putting me on a boat with 3,000 guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I joined the Army, and I was only going to go in for 3 years, and I stayed for 3 years because they lied to me. But that's another story.
Well, I actually had a recruiter who didn't lie. He actually took care of me.
Wow.
And I always say the Navy was the best mistake I ever made.
Bingo.
And
I say the same thing. Even though I didn't get what I wanted. I had one that lied, in fact, twice. But, yeah, we just had a show on our first hour, and it's like ROTC, but juniors. And I had two girls in. One was a commander, and the other one was, and these are young kids. They were they're in high school. And it has totally corrected their mindset on life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was very fortunate because I knew nothing about SEAL Team, never heard of it. I knew about the Navy Frogmen from the movie, Richard Widmark, James Garner.
And you had those little rubber guys.
Yeah. And then, of
Put
course,
the baking soda in, and they
Yes.
would float to the top.
yes. And then, of course, the Apollo astronauts,
Right.
the recovery.
So let me guess. This is where SEAL1 came from.
Correct. It wasn't my name. I didn't come up with it. Old business partner, he and his wife did, and it took me about a week to agree to use the name.
Well, what did you? Wait a minute. Though. So you went into the Navy. What did you go into the Navy to do? Like, how do you end up on the SEAL teams? Like that seems like. How did that happen?
Well, I was fortunate that when I told my recruiter, I said, "Look, I don't want to get greasy. I don't want to." I said I want to travel as much as I can in the 4 years. I want to see as much of the world I can. So he was like, "All right, go become an OS because they're the first on the ship. I mean, they're the first off the ship, first on the ship, or first on, last
off.
First off, last on." Sorry, I
And
knew
what's
I'd get
OS?
it.
There we go.
What's OS?
Operations specialist.
Okay.
And they work in the Combat Information Center. It's a dark air conditioned room on the ship, and it's plotting where the ship's going.
Oh.
And,
Did you learn how to write backwards?
yes, I did. Yes,
Why would you write backwards?
because
Tell them.
because in the Combat Information Center, you'd have like the windows, and you would have to write so that the people could read it. So
And
you'd have
people
to
on the
write
other side
backwards.
could read it.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Can you still do it?
It's been 40 some odd years since I did that.
I bet you still could.
So you're doing that. When did you get introduced to being a SEAL? How did that happen?
What they call 2-1 day. Second week, first day, they took us to start learning about physical training. And before we ever did any PT or anything, that's where they recruited for the teams. And they showed the film that I like to call Someone Stupid. They called it Someone Special, but I can call it Someone Stupid. And it showed guys scuba diving, skydiving, blowing things up, shooting, and I was just,
And
I
how
want
old
to do
were you?
that.
And how old were you?
I was 19.
Yeah. So that would be something you wouldn't want to do, right?
No, not at all.
And what year was this?
This was 1978.
Oh, really? Holy cow! So I mean, SEALs were just, they hadn't been around too long by then.
Well, they'd been around since 1962.
Mm-hmm.
The SEALs, the Frogmen started in '43, which came from the Scouts and Raiders, Naval Combat Demolition Units, and it all started because of Tarawa. The first landings in Guadalcanal and all, when the landing craft were coming up on the beach, they hit. It looked like about 30 feet from the beach, and the Marines would go running out. And it was a sandbar, and then next thing you know, there's 6 feet of water there. Everybody's underwater with all their packs, and they were drowning. So they were, okay,
Jeez.
we got to find out a way how to
We got to fix this.
fix this. And
So what was it like being a SEAL for 20? You were a SEAL in the 80s and 90s. What was it like being? It's pre 9/11.
Yep.
And then what do you feel things have changed post 9/11? What was it like being a SEAL in the 80s and 90s?
man, it was awesome.
I'm blowing stuff up.
I traveled the world drinking beer. As I was just telling somebody, it was the teams. I'm a natural rebel at heart, and the teams was a way where I could be a rebel with structured environment.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
it was. We would meet first thing in the morning, 7:30 quarters. You you'd do the roll call and all that. That's what quarters is. You'd quarter for muster, and our uniform was our PT gear. My first day checking into the team, I came out and I'm looking at guys. They're in flip flops. Some have shirts on, and this is in November, and tennis shoes. Some have the covers, some don't. I'm just going, man, this looks awesome. So,
Well, there's a lot of did you work with Jesse Ventura?
Jesse had already gotten out, and his name was Jim Janos, and his brother was in the teams, Jan
That's right.
Janos.
Yeah.
And Jesse was at a UDT team, and so my first team was UDT 12. So that's the underwater demolition teams. And so when I came in on the West Coast, you had UDT 11 and 12 and SEAL Team 1. And on the East Coast, you had UDT 21 and 22 and SEAL Team 2. And the teams, SEAL Team 1 and 2, were established January 1st, 1962. So in 83, they did away with UDT teams just to make them all SEAL teams, just to keep people from, even in the military, even in the Navy, from being confused of, okay, what's a UDT and what's a SEAL?
What is the difference of the duties that they did?
Well, at the time, UDT was responsible for the water line coming up just into the hinterland, and the SEALs took the hinterland going inland.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, and so the primary and secondary missions were just switched around.
Interesting.
Yeah, so at that time, the UDT platoon had 22 guys, and the SEAL team had 14 guys as a platoon, and then they.
And did you know Marchenko? Did you get to know that guy? Did you serve? That was around the same time, wasn't it?
Yes, well, that's when Dick Marcinko, when SEAL Team 6 started, that I was in line to interview and didn't realize at the time that this was, if you got out of line, you were never looked at again. And a buddy of mine, we each got out of line because we had just returned from our first deployment, and we'd gone to the Philippines, Hong Kong, and And
Let's keep rolling. Let's
yeah.
bring them to the next segment.
Sounds like a plan
Yeah.
to me. Hey, does it take too much time to clean your guns to end up smelling like a gas station? Well, clean, lube, and protect your guns faster with SEAL1. SEAL1 CLP Plus is natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. You can treat your guns one and done with SEAL1. Clean faster, smells good, and ask for it at your local gun shop. And if they don't have it, tell them to get some. Or you can just go to the website, SEAL1.com. That's SEAL1, the number 1.com. In fact, we have the man in the house who's part of SEAL1, and we've been talking more about his military career than we have his product. But
Well, we did a whole segment on the product, but it's kind of interesting where you're going with this. So you were saying that in the 80s you knew who Marcinko was,
Yes.
and he was the guy that started SEAL Team 6, and at the time they had SEAL Team 1 and 2. 1 was West Coast, 2 was East Coast. And then from interviews with him, he said he called it 6 to confuse the Russians because he wanted them to think there were more teams than just the 3, right? Isn't
Correct.
that the story?
Yeah, it was to make it. Wait a minute, we only know of 1 and 2, and now there's a 6. Why? Because the military doesn't do that.
Yeah.
They try to go in chronological order.
Right.
So.
So I mean, did you fathom? I mean, you joined the Navy. Did you fathom you were going to be running around in jungles with a rifle? Going into the Navy, that's not typically what people think of. They're more about swabbing decks and
Chipping
chip
paint.
and rust.
So that must have there had to have been a time when you were a SEAL. A couple years into it. I don't know. You're training in a jungle somewhere, because I know that especially in the 80s they were still teaching lessons they learned in Vietnam. There was probably a lot of jungle training, a lot of South American activity, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There had to have been a time, when you were a SEAL, when you just thought to yourself, man, look at it. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, this is cool. Did that hit you? Or?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I was a kid in a candy store, and we're let loose, and then they'd reel you in and then let you go again. But,
Reel you out.
Yeah.
What was the most important lesson you learned from being a SEAL? What's something you learned being a SEAL, like a lesson you learned being a SEAL that you don't think you ever would have learned in life?
Well, actually, it was like going through training. One thing that they emphasize is pay attention to details, because it's the little things that get you. It's not the big things, it's the little things. And as we, all know that we've learned, and that's what it is. And because paying attention to the little things actually starts getting you aware of situational awareness, which is where most people today find themselves getting in trouble because they're just not aware of their surroundings. And so anything you're doing in life, it's just pay attention to what you're doing. And
So when you go to Denny's, you make sure your back is against the wall, not facing the door.
I try to do that wherever I go. It's
You know what that's all about?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's a big. That's a bigger cop thing than is military.
Yeah, I think most of the guys in the military, special forces and SEAL teams, you cannot make them sit on the other side of the table.
Well, that makes sense.
unless you've got something that you can look at.
Yeah, exactly. Like a mirror that you can see what's going on behind you.
Or if the guy across from me, I trust him.
Yeah, exactly.
To, where you watch their reaction.
Yeah. I had a waitress tell me that. She said, this guy keeps coming in, but he won't sit anywhere but right over there against the wall. I said, well, next time he comes in, ask him if he was in the military. And she did. She goes, he was a SEAL. I don't know what that is, but he was a SEAL. I go, well, there you go.
Well, you just want to, you don't want to get into a room or when you walk in, you're looking for avenues of escape.
Exactly.
Or avenues of where you could be attacked from.
Exactly. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Now, you got out in 98, right?
99.
99. You got out in 99. And it appears to me that SEALs kind of continue to be tight even after they leave the military. They still kind of keep in touch and maybe even go on base and, talk to guys. And it seems like a really tight-knit community even after you retire. Is that pretty standard?
Yes. When you go through training, everybody in your class is especially your swim buddy and all you got really close with, and you just rely on each other, So we're, as any special warfare, special forces, whatever you want to call it. When you've been through something, a term is the crucible.
Right.
When you've been through that, you tend to.
It's hard to explain it to
Yes.
somebody who's never done it or been there.
Right.
I mean, and that's why so many military personnel, believe it or not, they get out, and within 6 months, most of the time they go back. Because when they get out, that camaraderie, that taking care of it's gone.
Did you miss it when you got out?
Yes, but when I got out, I was chief of the Navy parachute team when I retired, and when I got out, there was a few of us that were retiring at the same time. We started our own parachute team. So it was made up of team guys, so we would still see each other and still go out and do stuff. Because as we, said in the teams, we were, high speed, low drag. And when I got out, it went, low speed, high drag. And, I got out and I sold life insurance and just, I learned some stuff, but I needed a job, though, that I could leave on the weekends, and
you needed a little adrenaline.
I needed
and
the
you don't
adrenaline.
get that selling insurance. I'm sorry.
No.
Was it? I mean, being a SEAL, was it an adrenaline? Were you an adrenaline junkie? Did it really? You know what I mean? Was that a part of it? I mean, I got to tell you, it seems. I remember in the 70s and 80s. They would the movie industry would portray special operations guys as like kind of these on edge, like insane, crazy guys. There was Rambo. And, every movie, every bad guy in a movie was former special operations.
Well, he still has his bandana on.
And then they had Navy SEALs, and that was almost kind of almost a comic book portrayal of SEALs. But the first time I saw special,
it wasn't really comic book because the scene where he jumped off the car, that happened.
Oh, really?
And
who did that? You're allowed to say?
No, it's East Coast guy. Yeah,
he jumped out of a Jeep off a bridge into the water. That actually happened.
Yep.
Oh well, I stand corrected.
Yeah. I know someone that.
Was he on his way to a wedding?
No, but the beeper scene happened.
Really?
In the wedding.
I believe that.
Yeah. And of course the golf course scene. That's been,
probably still happens today.
Probably. Yeah.
So, but the first realistic portrayal I saw from my limited experience with meeting special operations guys when I was growing up and whatnot, was Black Hawk Down. They were really portrayed as like these calm, cool professionals no matter what's going on in the face of horrible combat. They're calm, cool professionals. So, do you get so trained and so used to what you're doing? I mean, do you still get that adrenaline? Is it still, would you describe it that way?
Yeah, you do, but see, and that's one thing like what training does, not just the SEAL team, but, any specialized training is they take you so that they understand how you're going to behave under that type of situation. Okay, so like what SEAL team does, what training Hell Week is there? It's to one, let you see how far you can go, and how long you can be awake and be hungry, or and that your body will handle the situations, and if you can handle that, and so. Being able to go through that situation teaches you a lot about yourself, that it's like, okay, I can handle these things. Because it's, one of the, you never know, in a stressful situation or whatever, what's going to happen until it happens.
Yeah. So maybe this is a better way to answer your question. The first time you jumped out of a plane, was it as exciting the last time you jumped out of a plane?
Yes.
So see, that's really, I think, where you were going.
Good, because and so okay, so the contact you have with post 9/11, so there seems to be this pre-post 9/11 split in the military that I've only heard of. I didn't serve, and I don't know.
No.
Have you noticed a change in post 9/11 SEALs compared to pre 9/11 SEALs, or maybe even if not, is there a difference between SEALs today and SEALs back in the 80s and 90s?
There is a difference, and I mean, look, the big thing was there was no war or conflict, whatever you want to call it. I mean, from Vietnam until after post 9/11, correct?
Right.
I mean, you had a lot of skirmishes and little issues that happened.
Panama and whatnot.
Yes, but there wasn't the prolonged war. And I mean, we haven't had anything like this in our history until these past 20-some years.
Yeah.
And another thing that's different is, like, as the team guys, when I came in, we were all, my era peer group, it was like we were all juvenile delinquents. And nowadays, most of the graduates, I think the average graduate out of BUD/S right now, 70% of them are college graduates.
I was going to say, you would have never gotten in if you were a juvenile delinquent.
Right. That's cool, Dwight.
And you don't even have a tattoo.
You don't have a tattoo?
You don't know, do you?
Not that's showing. And we're not going there.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.